right, everybody, welcome in. This is Todd with Zilla Fantasy Elite. We're going to go over that Week 10 DFS stuff here. Apologize for the lateness of this podcast. I actually did two segments. I got interrupted in the middle of the other one. Turned out my microphone wasn't plugged in on either of them, so I have zero content, which is fine. I think it's getting a little long-winded anyway. With that being said, if you're new to this, I'm trying to grow the channel, so hit that subscribe button if this is the first time watching. Hit that subscribe, smash the bell. Go look at our Week 9 DFS stuff, and just go look. You could have won $1 million following my advice. Take that into account. Smash the subscribe button. We'll go win some money together, hopefully. And if you're on Twitter, I am also there. Go look me up at Toddzilla1337. And then I started a Facebook page as well, Zilla Fantasy Elite. Go over there, follow, enjoy all the posts there. Me slapping my head, Lloyd Christmas style, for not plugging in my microphone. You would have gotten the update there. And wondering, hey, why isn't that DFS podcast out? Well, it's because I'm stupid and I forgot to plug in my mic. So, with that being said, let's get into this slate. First one on here is Cincinnati at Pittsburgh. I'm going to try to get this done a little bit quicker, considering the lateness of this already. But Cincinnati at Pittsburgh, this is kind of a weird slate. Week 10, it's got a lot of plays. They're just not ones that are necessarily lining up very well. Like Week 9 lined up very well with the matchup plays and then which ones were very good for the high point totals. This week it's kind of all over the place. You're going to have to do a little bit extra work, a little bit extra research. But with that, a lot of the DFS stuff out there, is behind a paywall. I'm giving you this stuff for free. This is proprietary, the adjusted line play report. And again, public service announcement. The adjusted line play report isn't the be-all, end-all DFS stuff. This is just very specific things that I found to correlate very well. You might, as you'll see later on in this, there's some plays that are really high scoring that the adjusted line play report is telling you there's no real smash matchup differences in there, and you're going to have to make decisions on your own. Public service announcement, this is just adjusted line play report targets. With that, let's get underway. Cincinnati at Pittsburgh, 46.5 point Vegas total. We have Cincinnati as 7.5 point underdogs. The one that you want to smash here is the Pittsburgh pass game. Roethlisberger coming off that COVID list. He should be good to go. And then the Pittsburgh pass attack, you're going to have Deontay Johnson, Chase Claypool as your high upside guys that are tournament-winning type of guys. I think both of those guys are in play. And then you also have Juju Smith-Schuster at wide receiver. I like him probably third out of their receiving options. And then if you're going to punt the tight end position, looking at Eric Ebron, he's been very productive, and I don't think he's priced up very high on any of these sites. So Eric Ebron also in play with that Pittsburgh pass game. Not necessarily one that I want to stack or attack in general. It's got a low Vegas total there at 46.5 points. But with that being said, Pittsburgh defense also in play here. We look at their adjusted sack rate there. They're second. And Cincinnati 27th in offensive pass protection. Very poor. Pittsburgh adjusted line yards against the run, 2. They are top 2 in both of their defensive metrics. Cincinnati 31st in run blocking. I don't think they're moving the ball on the ground at all. Joe Mixon won't be there. They won't be able to move the ball on the ground. They're going to have to move the ball in the air. If they're going to score 19 points, they're predicting at least 2 touchdowns. But Pittsburgh getting after Cincinnati, not a whole lot of time there. You're going to be looking at the low A-dot targets in Cincinnati. And since Mixon's not there, Joe Bernard, very excellent pass catcher out of the backfield, going to be getting the majority of the work here. And he's probably going to catch quite a few passes out of the backfield there. Tyler Boyd also in play. He's a very, very steady Eddie, low A-dot target guy. And Higgins might be in that route too. And in my previous recording, I did mention that it seemed like Zach Taylor tried for 3 weeks to get these longer, higher average depth of target pass plays going, realized that his offensive line still sucks this year, and went to more of a quick slant or all routes like less than 12 yards, a lot of like 3 to 10 yard routes. stemming, slants in his route trees for most of these guys. So if they're going to move the ball, it's going to be like that, and Tyler Boyd's a big beneficiary of that. But again, this isn't a game that I'd be looking to attack or stack or anything there. According to the adjusted line play report, you're looking at Pittsburgh's pass game, Pittsburgh's defense, and then the low A-dot targets from Cincinnati, which would be Gio Bernard, Tyler Boyd. You might be thinking, oh, what about Drew Sample, the tight end? I really want to punt that. Certainly a punt option at tight end. He is a low A-dot target, but with Pittsburgh being able to get after the quarterback, I think he's a very good blocker. He's just going to be used as a blocking tight end this week. I don't see him being worth your while in any sort of format. So on to the next game, Washington at Detroit. Excuse my cough. We have a 46-point total there as well. So not a whole lot. We have Detroit favored by 3.5, and for me, this is going to be a Washington run game on the offensive side. We kind of look at that. They're 15th in offensive run blocking. That's kind of middle of the road, so not great, not bad. Detroit, though, 30th in adjusted line on the defense, adjusted line yards given up by the defense for the rush game. I think Washington's actually going to be able to run on them very well. Antonio Gibson is a great play against Detroit, giving up tons and tons of yards to the running backs that they're facing. I think this is the way Washington's going to move the ball. And I think Detroit's just got, like, Washington's defense, if you look at that, they're in play as well. But you look at their first in the defensive pass rush, Detroit's 21st in offensive pass protection. That is a huge mismatch there. Washington's defense is in play there. Should be able to get after the quarterback, plenty of sacks, which could lead to some hurried throws. They don't have Galladay to kind of save them. And be looking at Washington with a few sacks, possibly some turnovers there. And Detroit, 26 in offensive run blocking. Washington, top 12. They're not going to be able to run the ball either on Washington. So I think Washington's there's going to be a close fought back and forth match, which I think is going to lead to a lot of Gibson volume in this, and I think he can make things work. He's explosive in college, and you might see a few explosive runs by him, and he's got 4.39 speed. I think he gets into the second level against Detroit, he is gone. He could break one of those just like he saw from Dalvin Cook last week. And with the Washington defense being so good at getting after the quarterback, you're looking at the low A-dot targets for Detroit. Marvin Jones on the wide receiver side, Amendola on the wide receiver side, and then DeAndre Swift as the running back. Don't expect much out of the run game from him, but out of the pass game you can see quite a few catches there. And Hawkinson as well, if he does play. He's kind of banged up, so I'm not exactly sure how productive he'll be, but he is one of those low A-dot targets. And Washington has been pretty poor against the tight end, so Hawkinson is in play, but he is kind of spendy for a tight end, and not particularly great situation. Houston at Cleveland. I have a note here. It's a 45.5 point total from Vegas, which is really low. We have Cleveland favored by 4 points. Look at this open, though. It opened the week at 54.5 point total. They were expecting tons of points. It got bet down almost 10 points. What the heck's going on there? A 10-point drop? You might be asking why. Well, just like 2 weeks ago when the hurricane was blowing through the upper Midwest there, Cleveland, lots of wind. This is a bad weather game, so that's how it got bet down, actually. I think there's supposed to be like 30, 35 mile an hour winds there again, and because of that, that's why it's a lower total. Cleveland still is favored in this by even more now at 4 points rather than 2.5 as it opened. Unfortunately, it's a high wind game, which probably means some more rush attempts and just less overall plays, which is why the total was bet down there. But fortunately for us, this is one of those things. Bad weather game leads to more rush attempts. Cleveland, third in offensive run blocking. Houston, absolutely atrocious against the run. Chubb coming off the COVID list. He is in play. Hunt also in play. I think both of these guys, like the Cleveland run attack, is just an absolute smash spot here. The problem is you have two of them. Also, benefit to you, I don't think a lot of people are going to be on Chubb or Hunt. I think they're going to think Chubb's coming back off of injury, probably going to be low owned. People don't want him back that first game coming off an injury. They might be a little nervous about his volume. He was splitting work with Kareem Hunt even before he went down. And then they're looking at Hunt. Hey, Chubb went down. his production didn't go through the moon after he left, even though he was in some smash spots. Seems like Hunt's even better with Chubb there than he is without him there. So I don't think a whole lot of people are going to be on either of these running backs, and I think they're kind of a smash spot, but you got to choose who you want. It could get very unique where both of them are very viable and get you into tournament winnings, but Chubb and Hunt both in play here. The one stat that I would show you is Chubb hasn't played since week 4. He went out week 4 with a knee injury, and I can't remember when. So he's played like 3.5, not 4 total games. He is still leading the league in 20 plus or rush attempts of 20 or more yards. He hasn't played week 5, week 6, week 7, week 8, or week 9. Still leading the NFL in runs of 20 or more yards. Houston gives up gaping holes whenever it's possible. Even if Chubb gets low volume, let's say he only gets 8 to 10 rush attempts, he could easily have 100 yards and 1 or 2 touchdowns on those attempts because Houston is that bad in the run game. And then since this is a windy game, if Houston can keep it close, I think Cleveland's going to see a lot of third down potential there, which is going to lead to more low A-dot targets. Kareem Hunt also in play there for some extra pass attempts on the ground with the high wind there. And then on the Houston side, you're probably looking at the low A-dot targets. Their pass protection is the worst in the league. Cleveland, middle of the road, slightly below average there, but that's a pretty big mismatch in general. So look at your low A-dot targets from Houston, especially in that wind. If you're looking at Brandon Cooks and Randall Cobb game, probably not a Will Fuller game. And then Duke Johnson. He's going to get all the run there. David Johnson just got put on the IR list for a concussion. He's out 3 weeks. Duke Johnson's going to get a bunch of run. He could see quite a few targets in this wind game. And then also the tight ends. Cleveland's been really bad against the tight end. And we have seen Watson not shy away from targeting his tight ends, especially in the red zone. Aiken and Fells potentially in play there if you want an absolute punt at tight end. Let's get on with the next game, Jacksonville at Green Bay. This is a Green Bay pass attack game, just like we had a few weeks ago with Kansas City and New York Jets. It showed that the Jets are actually pretty good against the run. Oh, we got here, Jacksonville 11th against the run. Green Bay run blocking also good. Kansas City's run blocking wasn't good. New York Jets was that week. I said smash that Kansas City pass attack. That's exactly how they scored. Green Bay a little bit better at the run blocking. You can see they're 7th, but Jacksonville's not that bad. That's kind of a wash. I think Green Bay is going to be able to run the ball, but Jacksonville good enough that they're not going to just steamroll them on the ground. But guess what? This is also a wind game. Opened at 55.5, bet down to 47.5 at Vegas, so we got 47.5 point total there. Green Bay remain 13.5 point favorite, so they should be up big in this. This is a lot of them where people might shy away just because it's such a huge difference there. People aren't sure where to go. Is it going to be a run game because they're up so much? Is it going to be pass game because it's a good matchup? People don't really know where to go. Like I said, I think it's fairly similar to the Kansas City Jets game from a few weeks ago. I think Green Bay's pass attack is the one that they're going to score through. It is windy. Like I said, it's a wind game, so expect the shorter targets. But with that being said, I think Aaron Rodgers is definitely in play this week. 4 versus 32. He should have plenty of time, which just means Devontae Adams is going to be open. He's probably going to get 15 targets and 14 catches for 180 yards. And how many touchdowns do you want? 1, 2, 3? He's going to have at least one, I can guarantee you, in this game. But a contrarian stack in this, I think you could play Aaron Jones. He's very good in the pass game. If it's going to be windy, I think they're going to keep those passes short, not necessarily wanting to turn the ball over against Jacksonville and have them hang in a game. So I could see Aaron Jones getting some some work on the ground game and also work through the pass game. Wouldn't be surprised at all to see him catch a pass for a touchdown, and then Devontae Adams catching a few touchdowns there. Other options in the pass game, Marquez Valdez-Scantling or Robert Tonyan. Unfortunately for us, Lazard won't be in this game. I would have liked to see that. I would have smashed Lazard into quite a few of my lineups, I think. But MVS or Tonyan are also plays there. What was I going to say with the Green Bay game there? I think that would be 31 points is what I was going to go over. 31 points. So we're expecting 4 touchdowns and a field goal from Green Bay in this. Where's Green Bay going to score their touchdowns? It's going to be Devontae Adams and Aaron Jones almost assuredly scoring touchdowns. There are games. Rodgers isn't immune to spreading around, but MVS had a 2-touchdown game on a Thursday night a while ago. Knowing that people are going to be out, I think he was involved in the game plan a little bit more. I don't think he's going to necessarily be involved as much. Same with Robert Tonyan. I think if those touchdown totals end up just being an Adams and Aaron Jones, that could be a tournament lineup that you could see doing really well. Aaron Rodgers throws for 3 or 4 touchdowns. They all go to Devontae Adams and Aaron Jones. You're going to be rocking that game in that tournament. But give a look at them in the pass game. Jacksonville, you can actually run it back with in the run game. You look, there's 6 in offensive run blocking. Very good. Green Bay, 22nd against the run. They are not very good. I think Jacksonville will be able to run the ball. As I said, this is a wind game. I don't think they're going to want to pass the ball as often. I think James Robinson's going to get quite a bit of work, and I think Jacksonville will be able to move the ball on the ground against them. Also probably part of the reason why this is getting bet down. But with that being said, the wind in Jacksonville projected to be down big in this. Green Bay defense, 11th in the pass rush on defense. Jacksonville 30th in pass protection. Green Bay should be able to get after the quarterback, generate some pressure. If it's windy, he's under duress. Could definitely see a few errant balls thrown from the rookie Luton there. Green Bay, possibly a pick 6, but their Green Bay defense also in play here. On to the next one. Philadelphia at New York Giants, 44.5 point total from Vegas. Very low there. They're not expecting very many points. This is also a bad weather game. Not necessarily wind. There will be like 10 to 15 mile an hour winds, which isn't like astronomical. Might affect a few things, but it's supposed to rain there like crazy. And with that low total, I just don't think these offenses are going to be moving the ball, especially in the rain. You're looking at Philly and the Giants defense actually in this. I just think they're not going to score very many points. And then you're looking at Philadelphia especially. They're 4th in adjusted line yards on defense. The Giants are 32nd. That is almost as big of a gap as you can get. Giants are the worst. Philadelphia 4th against the run. The Giants won't be able to move the ball on the ground at all. Devonta Freeman just went out on IR for a while. Philadelphia is going to stop that run, which means the Giants are going to have to pass if they want to move the ball at all. And it's raining. And what happens? Oh, Philadelphia 5th in the pass rush. So top 5 in the league. Giants just middle of the road. Mismatch there for Philadelphia getting after the quarterback. Daniel Jones fumbles a ton in the rain. If they can't move the ball on the ground, I think Daniel Jones turnovers, you're going to see a few of those come back, and the Philadelphia defense is definitely in play here. And then looking at the Giants on the defensive side, they're middle of the road on the defense, 16 and 16, dead middle on the pass rush and the adjusted line yards for rush. But Philadelphia, second to last in offensive pass protection. Giants will be able to get after the quarterback too. Rain game. Carson Wentz, 12 turnovers already through the air. I think he's got 12 interceptions. And then their run blocking is 22nd. Not going to be able to run the ball either against the Giants. There's not as big of a gap there, but I just don't think they're going to move the ball very well. I think this is a defensive-minded game. I think both of their defenses are in play and are going to get after the quarterback, which means both of the low A-dot targets for those teams will be in play. For Philadelphia, I'm looking at Dallas Goedert. I don't know if we're looking at an Alshon Jeffrey return this week, but he is a lower A-dot target and definitely a red zone threat. And then on the Giants, we're looking at Sterling Shepard and Tate, Golden Tate on the wide receivers, and then Evan Ingram at tight end being the low A-dot, but not a game I'm attacking unless I'm getting the defenses there. Tampa Bay at Carolina, this is one of my more favorite matchups in the slate as far as I think Tampa Bay's pass attack is something that you absolutely want to smash. I think Tom Brady's going to have a huge game coming off last week when they just got dominated by New Orleans. He looked stupid, looked foolish. He's going to be angry. He's going to want to come back. Just like what happened on against Tampa Bay with Chicago on the Thursday night game, he did not look good. He came out the next week, threw 5 touchdowns. I think it's going to be very similar. Similar narrative anyway. Looks bad. Oh, let's look at this pass stuff. Well, offensive pass protection is 5th for Tampa Bay, top 5. Carolina 26th at generating pressure against the quarterback. This is a smash matchup. Tom Brady's going to have plenty of time to throw the ball against Carolina. The only issue is you're going to have to use your brain on this. I don't know who to target in this. Maybe you do. We have Chris Godwin in play. We have Mike Evans in play. We have Antonio Brown in play. And we have Gronk in play as far as the pass catchers. I'm not sure who to start. Tom Brady spreads the ball around so much. This isn't necessarily a funnel offense either. Let's just look at some of the narratives. Last week, squeaky wheel gets the grease kind of thing, but it wasn't Mike Evans' squeaky wheel. It was the coach saying, hey, Tom Brady did not hit Mike Evans. Mike Evans, I don't know why he didn't have more targets. The guy was open all the time. He did not get him the ball. That's a narrative that you could say, well, maybe they're going to hyper-target Evans. He is definitely a red zone threat, but Tom Brady doesn't really care about that. He just wants to get to the ball who's open. Godwin's better at getting open than Evans is, and Antonio Brown definitely is better at getting open than Mike Evans. Those guys could be in play as well. And then you're looking at Gronk, definite red zone threat, mismatch, I think, with Carolina as well. All four of those guys are in play. I personally think all four of them are just going to cannibalize. I think they're all startable in redraft. You're going to have good games, good-ish games. Nobody's going to disappoint you. I think that's what's going to happen. I think they're all going to kind of cannibalize each other's production. No one person's going to stand out. If you're building a cash game lineup, probably safe with any of them. But I think this is going to be a monster Tom Brady game. I just don't know if he's going to hyper-target anyone. I could see 4 touchdowns or 5 touchdowns going to 4 or 5 different receiving options. I didn't even mention Scotty Miller or Tyler Johnson, who could get in there in the red zone or get a deep bomb if he's got time to throw. Those are certainly options as well that I'm not going to be playing. But this might be one of those weird weeks where you get a naked quarterback that actually wins, where maybe it's some noob that doesn't necessarily know game theory for DFS, where I might put this in a lineup or two where it's Tom Brady naked. I don't pick any of his pass catchers because I think they all have good games, not great games. Good games don't win you tournaments. Great games do. Tom Brady, I think, is going to have a great game. And then maybe I run it back with a stack of wide receivers in a different game, which we'll get to later, like the Rams, Seattle. Maybe I pick 2 of the Rams receivers and a Seattle receiver to pair with Tom Brady. And maybe that's a tournament-winning lineup that you got there. That's going to be definitely contrarian to a lot of what these experts are going to be telling you to do. I'm not an expert, but this adjusted line play report does correlate very well. I think Tampa Bay's pass game is going to be good in this game. If I didn't mention it before, it's a 50.5 point total with 28 points implied from Tampa Bay as 6-point favorites there. So they're projected to score 4 touchdowns. I think they're all going to come from Brady. Carolina, I kind of avoid them for the most part. If you look at Tampa Bay's defense, which is in play, Tampa Bay defense in play here, we look at 3rd in the pass rush. Carolina, middle of the road at 14th. Tampa Bay, 1st in adjusted line yards. Carolina, 13th in run blocking. So we have top 3 from Tampa Bay on both getting after the quarterback and stopping the rush. Carolina, middle of the pack against or keeping the pocket clean and run blocking. So those are both matchup discrepancies in Tampa Bay's favor. I just don't think Carolina's going to move the ball very well. With that being said, if Tampa Bay can get after the quarterback, that's going to lend itself to lower A-dot targets from Carolina. Not that I'd be looking for it. Mike Davis is going to be super chalky because CMC is out. But Tampa Bay does give up quite a few receptions to the running back this year, and it might be partially because they can get after the quarterback so well. It's lending itself to dump-offs. I believe Mike Davis had 8 receptions in this matchup prior. When CMC went out, Mike Davis came in, got 8 receptions. Could see something similar. I just don't see a massive ceiling from him. But Mike Davis, super cheap on DraftKings where they give you a full point PPR. He is in play there. Not so much on DraftKings where they priced him up knowing that CMC wasn't going to be playing this week. That's that for there. Denver at Las Vegas. My original video, I forgot that I didn't even do this on my little notepad, but there wasn't anything of note here. All these lineups are kind of pushes. A 6-point gap is the biggest that we have here. Denver pass rush against Las Vegas 12th in pass protection. It's not a huge gap, but Denver might be able to get after the quarterback a few times, which might lend itself to lower A-dot targets from Vegas, which is your Darren Waller. He's already kind of a play, or Hunter Renfrow. This isn't something that I'm looking at in DFS and saying, here's a smash play here or there. You're going to have to use your best judgment if you want to pull anybody from this matchup. It does have a 50.5 point total. Vegas is favored by 3.5 points at home there. Use your best judgment in grabbing anybody from there. The adjusted line play report not showing anything. Oddly enough, Buffalo at Arizona. This is the highest point total on the slate at 56. We have Arizona at 2.5 point home favorites over Buffalo. We don't have anything on the adjusted line play report that is really sticking out other than a 14-22 matchup, basically saying Buffalo's pass protection and their run blocking not very good. Arizona, middle of the road, a little bit above average in the pass rush defense, so they might be able to get after the quarterback. I just don't think it's going to be a big enough factor there to push any one way or the other. The John Brown deep threat might be a little bit subdued in this, so looking at Diggs getting open underneath and maybe a Beasley type game. Don't take any of the Buffalo running backs. And then on the Arizona side, we don't have their offensive pass protection is pretty good, 10th, but Buffalo also very good at getting after the quarterback. I think that's kind of a wash. I don't know if Tre'Davious White is going to be playing in this game, but as I said before, adjusted line play report, it's not saying anything here is an obvious smash play. It is a 56.5 or a 56 point total from Vegas, so use your best judgment on that. I just can't provide you with any advice based off of the adjusted line play report. As I said, this is a public service announcement. This is the adjusted line play report targets. There are none from this, but there are targets that you can get in DFS that will probably have good games there, just as a heads up. Next game on the slate here, we have Seattle at Los Angeles Rams. Two more following this, but this is my favorite one on the slate. I want to basically say smash that Rams pass attack. They are first overall in offensive pass protection. Seattle 21st, slowly getting better, but that's a 20-point difference there. Major advantage for Los Angeles pass protection. I think they're going to have plenty of time to throw the ball. I think Seattle will be able to score against the Rams. But we're looking at the Rams having to pass or move the ball through the air. They are second in run blocking, which they've usually been able to dominate and have been. But Seattle 9th in adjusted line yards. They're very good against the run. I think that's kind of a wash. Rams will be able to move the ball just fine on the ground, but where they're really going to make their hay is through the air. So smash that Rams a pass attack. I think Goff is going to have a big game. He's going to be in a lot of my lineups. And then you're looking at the pass catchers. Everyone's pretty much in play here. I could see this being the kind of stack that you're going to want to play in this game. It's apparently not garnering very much attention. I don't know why. This is my favorite one of the whole week. A lot of people are on that Buffalo-Arizona game. I just don't know who to really attack in that one based off of this. But Goff in play. Cooper Kupp, the touchdown guy for the Rams. If that's what you're into, if you're looking for those touchdowns, who's most likely to get touchdowns? Cooper Kupp is the guy in the red zone. I find them being in the red zone quite often. I think Kupp has a touchdown, maybe two in this game. Robert Woods, what's the benefit of him? Very, very steady guy. Lots of production. He gets several targets every game. Second in the targets usually to Cooper Kupp. So he's very safe. If you're doing a cash lineup, I think you're going to do good with Woods. Where Kupp might be a little bit more volatile, but Woods also gets rushing attempts, especially near the goal line, or he busts off long ones. He is a rush attempt potential for a touchdown, which isn't going to give it to Goff. It's not going to give it to Kupp. It's not going to give it to any of the other options on the Rams, which if people are stacking that and you want to get contrarian, or you're doing like a Tampa Bay stack with Green Bay receivers or something weird, I think Woods is probably your best bet for a one-off guy where you're going to gain a lot of leverage if he runs in a touchdown. No one else from the Rams is getting points except for you, and you can gain some leverage on the field there with Robert Woods. My favorite one, though, I think I'm going to end up getting Reynolds in a lot of my lineups. As we saw last week in the Week 9 pooch punt play, we had the Buffalo pass attack, which I told you to get. It was Josh Allen, it was John Brown, who's actually the wide receiver 2, and then they went with Gabriel Davis, who's the wide receiver 4 kind of. But he ended up scoring and having a good game. I think that is your Josh Reynolds. He is getting actually targeted quite a bit, and he's a bigger guy. He also is a red zone threat. I saw the last Rams game that they played. He got targeted like 3 or 4 times in the red zone, so I think he is a threat to score. Goff, Kupp, Reynolds, if you're going for that touchdown upside. If you want Woods' rushing ability and that rushing touchdown, I'd be using him as maybe if you're just putting one piece from this game in, use Robert Woods. But also, Gerald Everett, the tight end from the Rams, he's ultra cheap on both sites. Kind of a punt play at tight end, which you're going to want to do if you're punting at tight end. Gerald Everett is the punt tight end that I would want in all of my lineups this week. He did get 9 targets in their last game before the bye last week. I just think people saw the Rams suck against Miami. They went into the bye week. Nobody's on the Rams. That might be why nobody's necessarily talking about this game. And I think you're going to be able to do that. Higbee also, he scored a 3-touchdown game week 1, I think. Since then, he has been sucked. Just not good. Everett's almost passing him in fantasy points on the season. I do foresee Everett having a solid game here versus Higbee, but Higbee has that potential where if they get down to the red zone, they just use him. He could be one of those 2 or 3 touchdown vulture guys where he's going to be super low owned, and if he has 1 or 2 touchdowns, like you're getting major leverage on a field. He could be a tournament-winning tight end. Same with Everett. If Everett also has that rushing, just like Robert Woods, he scored a rushing touchdown from in close. They're trying to get him the ball in creative ways. McVay said that at the beginning of the season. So I'm super amped about the Los Angeles Rams pass attack here, as you can tell. The one other thing, Los Angeles Rams defense is in play. If you look at their pass rush, green-red matchup. Los Angeles Rams, top 10. They're at 9th in the adjusted sack rate. Seattle, 26th in pass protection. That is a bonus for the Rams defense, as you saw last week. Same thing with Buffalo. Buffalo gets after the quarterback pretty well. You can actually see up here Buffalo pass rush 7th. They're actually a little bit better than the Rams even. They forced a few turnovers from Russell Wilson, who was very good up until that point. Same thing here. Seattle pass protection, not very good. Rams pass rush, pretty good. I think they might force a few more turnovers. And that's good. And that also means they're probably going to be getting after the quarterback, Russell Wilson flush or whatever. You're looking possibly at the lower A-dot targets. So Tyler Lockett versus DK Metcalf. Tyler Lockett's the more lower A-dot wide receiver there. And David Moore is more underneath wide receiver. And then maybe a Jacob Hollister or a Will Disley at tight end if you want to get super contrarian. Not probably going to have those guys in my lineups, but on this, I think where I want to run it back with the Rams pass attack, you look at Seattle, red-green matchup here, 10th in offensive run blocking, top 10. Rams 25th, so they're really towards the bottom there in adjusted line yards for rushing. I think Seattle will be able to move the ball rushing. And it sounds like Chris Carson is basically out. Him and Hyde are out. They just activated Alex Collins off of the waiver wire. If you want to go super deep, he might get some play in this and they actually score, and he would be somebody that's bottom of the barrel price. Not going to put him in any of my lineups, but DJ Dallas, just like last week, he was in that pooch punt lineup. If it was submitted in the Milli-maker, you would have won $1 million. I think DJ Dallas is in play here. Rams, pass attack, run it back with DJ Dallas. I think that might be good. DJ Dallas can be super low owned. The question surrounding like Carson's health, and just this game in general, I think the Rams defense instills fear into people, and they're not going to want to attack the rush game where a lot of people are going after the pass attack at Seattle. They maybe vulture, few people have good games, but not great games, and then DJ Dallas scores 1 or 2 touchdowns just because they're moving the ball on the Rams. But he's going to be super low owned, and he's cheap, and that's just somebody that you can get a piece of in this 54.5 point total with Rams favored by 2.5 there. So keep that in mind. That's my favorite game of the slate this week. 2 more, as I said. San Francisco at New Orleans, followed by the Chargers at Miami. San Francisco at New Orleans. We have another pass attack here. New Orleans pass attack. They're third in offensive pass protection. San Francisco 24th at generating pressure on the quarterback. Drew Brees will have time. Drew Brees really doesn't throw it deep anymore. So we're going to look at who's going to be getting the vast majority of the targets in New Orleans. We do have the guy that transferred over there, Emmanuel Sanders, can't get open. I just don't think he's going to garner as much attention as Michael Thomas. He had a really bad game week 1 playing against Tampa Bay, out like 5 or 6, 7 weeks, whatever it was. Came back against Tampa Bay, another mediocre game. Everybody's going to be off of him. This is a smash play where New Orleans' pass attack is going to be where you want it. Their run blocking is 8th. San Francisco is actually pretty good on defense against the run. So I don't think they're going to be able to run the ball. Latavius Murray out of the question. Kamara not going to be running the ball like crazy, I don't think, on San Francisco either. So I think they're going to be moving the ball through the air, which is probably your Michael Thomas like 15 or 16 target, 12 to 15 reception type game. Maybe he goes 150 yards and scores you a touchdown. I think this is Michael Thomas week. Nobody's going to be on him, I think. I think there's so many other bigger games on the slate. This has a 49-point total from Vegas, but New Orleans predicted to be up, winning by 9.5 here. So they got a 4-touchdown implied total over there in New Orleans. I think they're going to score a lot of those touchdowns through the air. Drew Brees is in play. Probably not going to be in a lot of my lineups because I like other quarterbacks better, but smashing that Michael Thomas in this game, I think he's going to have a big game, and he has that ability. Like, he is so good. He has that slate-breaking ability where, you know, you might have Devontae Adams and him just going nuclear this week. You could see those guys in tournament-winning lineup with some other cheaper options there. If they do decide to throw a deep bomb because Drew Brees has time, Traquan Smith is the most likely beneficiary of that. Their tight end over there, Jared Cook, never out of play, but I'd be looking more on the Michael Thomas end for this matchup. And then you're looking at New Orleans defense. They are 4th in pass rush and 3rd against the run. San Francisco is below average, but in the middle range there for both offensive run blocking and offensive pass protection. I think New Orleans is going to be able to get after them and prevent San Francisco from having a very high total game. Even maybe a few turnovers against Mullins there, not out of the question. And with that being said, if they're getting after the quarterback, 4th in pass rush, 19th against for pass protection for San Francisco, the low A-dot targets from San Francisco. So Ayuk, and maybe if you're going to punt at tight end, I think Jordan Reed might get quite a few targets in this if they're going to be throwing it off. And he's athletic enough that I think he could do some damage after the catch with that. He's a little banged up, but nobody in particular from the San Francisco side is popping off the page, especially with these matchups. So the low A-dot targets that I mentioned is really the only people that I would even consider anywhere. Then the last matchup here, we have Los Angeles Chargers at Miami. Weird thing again, we have nothing really for this. Almost all these, a 2-point difference. The same, we have a 7-point difference there. Offensive run blocking is pretty poor for the Chargers, but Miami even worse against the run defensively, but not like a huge mismatch there. That's the only thing. And then a 6-point difference there for run blocking for Miami is pretty poor, but Chargers also poor at stopping the run. Adjusted line report not giving you anything for this game. 48-point total, 2.5-point favorite for Miami. Use that information as you will. There's just nothing from the adjusted line report that would suggest anything is a smash matchup or a smash play in here other than you could possibly say the Chargers run attack, but then you're looking at Troy Mayen-Pope, Kalen Ballage, or Joshua Kelly. I don't want either of those guys in my tournament lineups for sure, but they are options. With that being said, I think I'm going to end it here. I'm not going to give a recap. I was trying to just breeze through this. It's getting a little late for the DFS pod to get released, so thanks for watching, guys. If you want more proprietary information about these and the very good correlation that we have here, like the Indy suggestion that I had, start Michael Pittman, pull him off your waivers. He had 20 yards rushing, 7 receptions for over 100 yards. We have a very good correlation with this adjusted line play report. So if you want to win some money, smash that subscribe button, click the bell so you get my videos. Head over to Twitter, follow me there at Toddzilla1337. And hit me up on Facebook as well. The page is Zilla Fantasy Elite. Thanks for watching, guys. Week 10 DFS podcast. Let's go get that cheddar together. Thanks for watching. Have a good one. Good luck. Bye.